Good morning, happy Tuesday. Today, we should be finishing up our writing for our informational reports and making a huge dent in habitats. So the kids are super excited. They're going to get to work on it 2 different times today. I have 1 time in the morning blocked off and 1 time in the afternoon blocked off, so they can jump right in and do that. I'm also going to be reading testing some of my students for Fontes and Pinnell. And that is all I need for report cards. Everything else is done. And the kids that finished their writing yesterday, I marked their report cards last night when I got home. I was going to set up the science lab today, or at least clean it up, but I realized I have a meeting after school, so that's going to have to wait. I do need to set it up tomorrow though, because Thursday people are going to be using it. So I will definitely get it set up tomorrow and I can show you. But I need to clean up the sand first. So I don't see myself going during plan time today because I have things I need to do during plan time, like planning. So probably won't do it until tomorrow, but I will definitely get it done. I need to take home a whole bunch of my camping stuff today, and then I can take the remainder of it tomorrow because it's too much for 1 trip, and I don't want to make 2 trips after school. So most likely after the meeting today, I will zip up to my room and I will grab all the things and put them in a bin and take them out to my car. Be done with that load. And then I can take some of the stuff out of that bin and bring it back and finish the rest of it. I got the boat partially deflated yesterday, but there's a lot of air in that thing and it's a pretty good size. It's a 2-man boat. So I did not get it all deflated. So I'm going to work on that a little more today. That will probably be something I take home tomorrow because it's probably going to take a couple of times of deflating. You have to like squeeze the little air intake thing to release the air because it has like a stopper in it. So, which is good when you're inflating it, but kind of a pain when you're deflating it. And then you have to push on it to get air to come out a little faster. So it's okay. It'll just take a little longer. That's all right. I can take the other things home like the tents and the fishing poles and the turf. That'll be a big thing that I can put in there. So I have a bin in my back seat. I think you can see a little bit of it back here. That's going to go into my classroom sometime today because I can't bring my teacher tote and that at the same time. It won't fit on my cart and it'll be too tall if I try to stack it, probably. Maybe not. Maybe I can stack my tote inside that. That would probably work. And then I don't have to come back to my car. That'd be good. I realized this morning that I forgot to get a couple of things at Walmart last night, so I'll be making another trip. Not today, but tomorrow. So I'm almost out of contact solution and I'm almost out of canned cat food. So thankfully my local tiny little Walmart has that stuff. I can just do that on the way home tomorrow when I'm coming back. Today, we're supposed to vote in the primaries. So my husband and I are going to go when he gets home from work. He said, "Are you planning on going this morning?" I went, no. I am not going to be ready early enough to go vote and get to school on time. He's like, okay. So we're planning on going when he returns from work this evening before we have dinner. So really today, mostly we're going to be focusing on finishing writing and working on those habitats. Beyond that though, I still have math intervention group and we are working on 2-digit plus single-digit addition. And in my reading intervention group for phonics, we are working on homophones. Then let's see, for math, regular math, we're working on money. And I think I mentioned that I started at ground zero because I noticed a lot of my students did not remember the coins or their values. So I thought, well, I'm not going to expect them to be able to count money if they don't know what it is. So I just started at the very bottom, identifying the coins, telling how much they're worth. So we did pennies and nickels yesterday. Today we'll do dimes and pennies. Then tomorrow we'll do quarters, and then we'll combine them all. So then when we come back from spring break next week, well, we go on spring break next week. When we return after that, we will start chapter 7 in Go Math, which begins with like 6 or 7 lessons on money. And the first lesson is counting pennies, nickels, and dimes. And I thought, well, my students are having trouble identifying all the coins, so I don't think it would be wise for me to start with that because they'll be very confused. So I just decided to wait on starting the chapter, and I was talking to some of my other 2nd grade teenies and they're doing the same thing. So they noticed the same thing when they gave the pre-test on money. Our students don't remember that. They can't ID the coins and they can't tell the values of them. Not every kid, but a majority of them cannot tell us those things. So we need to reteach that. So yeah, it would be a disservice to start on chapter 7 when they don't have the background that they need to be successful doing those chapter lessons. So that is the plan. Ooh, they did pretty well yesterday. A few of them were a little confused. And when I was having them do the pages that we had where they had to identify which ones were pennies and which ones weren't, I had them color the pennies brown. And then we counted them to make sure they got them all. And students were coming up with all kinds of crazy numbers of pennies that they had. And I was like, well, there are this many on this sheet. I think I came up with 23 on the first page. And then the nickels, there were 20. And some kids were like, I got 25. And I said, well, make sure you didn't accidentally count some quarters in there, because honestly, in black and white, if you don't have the actual money in front of you, it can be a little confusing when you see the two different people on the heads of those coins. They're not the same size, but they're very close. And so that's why it's confusing for kids a lot of times, nickels and quarters. This is my 12th year in public school. And I've noticed over the years that my students less and less have money knowledge. And I really think it's because we just don't use cash like we used to. They don't see it all the time. And if they don't get like an allowance where they're actually physically handed money and they don't have a piggy bank or something, a lot of them just don't see money, maybe ever, because their parents use debit cards or they pay things online, credit cards. That's what I do. You know, I use everything on a card. So when my daughter was in 1st and 2nd grade, you know, we worked with money at home. The teacher sent home a paper and said, please gather together this many quarters, this many dimes, this many nickels, and this many pennies, and have your student count out the following amounts to you. And so I worked with her on that, and she got pretty good at it. But, you know, if you don't have a parent that can sit there and work with their child on money, they don't get the extra practice. And it's not because the parent doesn't care. It's because everybody is so busy. Like if your kid is in daycare and you pick them up after work, say around 6, then you need to get home, you need to feed them, you need to bathe them, and heaven forbid if they have homework or something else besides homework. Maybe they have a scout meeting or a sports event that they need to go to, a practice or a game or something. And if you have more than one child, that, you know, doubles, triples, whatever your time spent on doing things. So, you know, it totally makes sense that parents are having trouble supporting their kids' education sometimes because everyone is just so busy. And many, many parents have to work, you know, both parents have to work because of, you know, finances. And so it's just hard. And so I totally get it. But that just makes it a little bit more difficult to get it all in at school because we know that they're not necessarily going to get the practice at home that they might need. And, you know, every kid is different, and sometimes you need a little extra practice, and other kids get it really quickly. It just depends on the concepts. Okay, I have made it successfully to school, and I'm almost in the parking spot that I'm going to be in. Yay. Alrighty, I will talk to you later in the day and let you know how things are going. And I'll see you then. Hey there, it's lunchtime and I heated my lunch way too much. I didn't eat all of it yesterday, so I just reheated it today and I heated it way too long, so it's cooling. But I wanted to show you the state of my room. It is in creative chaos right now. I think I have like 10 students done, so half my class is completely finished with their reports. Like it's typed, printed, ready to post. And then everyone else, except for one who's absent today, is in some level of completion of their habitat. So let me show you what it looks like. Check it out. So I have construction paper out here for them so they could make the base for their box. And then they could get clay and put it on these trays I have. And so they're just in various stages of stuff. This is really cool. So those are cactus. Can you see the cactus? So this student's animal is a bearded dragon. Isn't that awesome? So he made some desert sand and he's got like a little oasis over there and some cactus. It's so cute. And then a little, I'm not sure what the yellow thing is. I'll have to ask. Look at this. They're so creative. And I had some of these little shreds left that kind of got broken off of my waterfall for the monsoon from Jumanji last week. Here are my St. Patrick's Day leggings and my boots and my cool teacher shirt. See you next time.